Okay, so the materials for this, honestly, you'll need a decent amount of yarn. You don't need this many colors. I just want like a really pink skirt. But you'll need a lot of yarn, but like, especially depending on how like long you want your skirt to be. You'll need a decent amount, and then it's also gonna take a decent amount of yarn for the ruffles, because there's gonna be like extra, like it's gonna be a lot. So just keep that in mind. Like honestly, you'll probably need like, this is 120 yards. I got this from Michael's. This is just some acrylic yarn right here, but this is cotton. This is 120 yards, and honestly you'll probably need like 3 or 4 of these, if not more, just because, you know, like you want the skirt to like be a little on your waist and you want it to cover your butt, so you're gonna need some yarn. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm using a 5mm hook, and we're gonna start by making our waistband. So measure your waist. So I want my skirt to sit like right on my hips, and that's like 38 inches for me, but I'm going to take probably like 2 inches off, so I'll do 36, because I want it to be tight around my waist slash hips, if that makes sense. So measure where you want your skirt to sit on you, like waist wise, and then take off 1 inch or 2, just because what I've noticed is when I make skirts or like waistbands like this, is that it will stretch a little bit, so it just ends up being a little too big. And we can add a like a belt if you want, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that yet. So let's start by making the waistband. So we're gonna start with a slip knot, and we're just going to chain about 6, 7, probably like 8. So chain 8. I hate this hook. Oh, I hate this hook. I couldn't find my favorite one. Ugh. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this first chain, so this is how wide your waistband is going to be. And honestly, I'm going to take one out. So chain 7, and then we're just going to put a half double crochet into each stitch, and you can do a single crochet if you want. I'm just gonna do half double so that it'll grow a little faster. So I'm gonna do this first row, and then I'll come back, because for the next like the rest of the rows, we're gonna put, yes, half double, but it's like half double in the front stitch only. So okay, so this is how thick my waistband is gonna be. So it's just gonna grow long and long and long, but it's gonna be this thick. So now we're gonna chain 1, and then you can either do the front or the back loop. It ends up looking very similar. So chain 1, and then I'm gonna go in the back just because it's a little easier. So in the back loop, so you should really only be going under one, like half a V, if that makes sense. So under that back loop, and then just keep doing the rows until it's it fits your waist. And you can try it on every time if you don't want to measure yourself. Okay, so I finished the waistband. This is how it looks. I did about 36 inches, and it stretches to my waist comfortably. So I might add a belt just so that, because I like my stuff a little tighter. But I wanted to mention, when you're making this, if you have like thicker thighs and a thicker butt and like a small waist, then you probably want to make it to the waistband to the size of your like hip butt area, so that it can actually come up over it, and then you can add a belt and tighten it on your waist. So if you make the waistband the size of your waist, and you have like, I don't know, 30-inch waist, but your hips are like 36, 38, it's not gonna stretch that much, like, you know, 8 inches, because that's a lot, depending on the type of yarn you use. So just keep that in mind. Like maybe after you make the waistband, sew it together like I'm about to do, or crochet it together, whatever. Basically, we're gonna go through each stitch on each side and just go all the way across, but then do that and then try to put it on as you would put on like some shorts or something, and see if it'll come up all the way, just to, you know, make sure everything is good. Okay, so when I'm sewing this together, I'm making sure my loose ends are meeting and my waistband is not twisted at any part, because then it'll be twisted the whole time and you'll be real aggravated like me. So I just inserted my hook into the other side. So I have six half doubles on each side. So just put either a slip stitch or a single crochet into each side. So like I just inserted my hook, I'm gonna pull through. I'm gonna do single crochet, well, chain one, and then I'm gonna go back in the same stitch just to make sure that it's secure. Come in, come out, single crochet, and then next stitch, go through both V's. I'm on and on both sides, pull through, single crochet, and you're just doing that the whole round. And then when you get to the end, don't fasten off, because we're gonna start the skirt at the end. So just finish going across and then I'll meet y'all back here. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're just gonna chain one. And then what I like to do is, before actually starting the skirt, I like to put a single crochet or a double crochet. I'm gonna do a double crochet because that's what I'm gonna be doing the whole time. So I'm gonna go through and put a double crochet into, like, there's not defined like stitches on the side, but you see how there's open here, like, you know, there's open areas. And so just put a half double everywhere around. So I'm gonna start right here. Ew, what's in my nail? And then the next one, just find an open space, so like somewhere in here, and just try to keep them spaced evenly apart, just so that it looks symmetrical-ish. You really won't notice it, but yeah. And this just makes it easier when you actually start the skirt, so that you have somewhere to go into, you're not struggling. And actually I'm gonna redo this one because it's a big hole. So if you see a big hole like that, I suggest you just go back and like either go in this top area here, ooh, a little less room, or go further under it. But however you can make it work. So just keep doing that until you get to where we started right here. Okay, so I made it to the end, right where I'm gonna slip stitch into the top of that chain two, or the chain one, the chain that we started at. But for me, I'm going to change the color of my yarn, so I'm going to add this pink in. You guys do not have to do that, especially if you're doing the same color for the whole skirt. So I'm just going to insert my hook into the top here. I'm going to grab this pink yarn, and I have this white yarn. I'm going to put both of them on my hook like this, and I'm just going to pull through and slip stitch. And then I'm going to drop the white and chain two with the pink, or I'll chain one, and then I can cut my white yarn, and then I'll continue with the pink. Okay, so now that I've chained one, I'm going to turn my work so that my seam will stay straight. So like when you turn, it keeps it going straight, and then if you just keep going around and around and around without turning, the seam will start to like go slanted. So if you're fine with that, then don't worry about turning it. But I'm gonna chain one and turn every round because I want a straight seam on my skirt. So now we're just gonna do half doubles for every row until you get the length that you want for your skirt. It's gonna be different for everybody, so just keep going until you're okay with the length, and then we'll get into the ruffles. So this is pretty simple. This is all we're gonna be doing for a while, so yeah. Okay, so I wanted to mention that if your hips are wider than your waist, then you'll need to increase on the sides, right? So not everybody has this problem, but so I'm going to show you. Basically, this is my seam, right? So I'm just gonna get it as even as possible, and you can measure this. So I'm just gonna eyeball it, but you can measure it and make sure it's the same amount of inches on each side, just so it's like the middle. Well, this is good enough for me. So I've only done about 9 or 10 rows. Yeah, so I've only done about 9 or 10 rows, but it's important to try your skirt on like as much as you can, because you want to make sure that it's growing correctly. So what I mean by that is when you're increasing on the sides, it's going to start coming out like this, and it's going to make room for your hips. So this is my middle, and I'm just going to turn it to the side and look here. So like, if you can see, there's a little stitch in here about halfway. It doesn't have to be perfect, just you know, somewhere in the middle here. So I'm gonna have like a little stitch marker. So get you a stitch marker and just put it on either side of your skirt. So like, I'll have one here, and then I'll put another one over here. And when you get to this point, instead of putting 1 half double crochet in there, you're gonna put 2. You're gonna put 2 in this stitch with the stitch marker in it, and depending on how wide you need your skirt to be to match your hips, that will depend how often you increase. So you can increase every row and it'll grow pretty fast, or you can increase 1 row and then do a regular row and then increase the next row and alternate that way, and then it'll grow a little slower. So it just depends how wide your hips are and how wide you want your skirt to be. Okay, so if you've made a skirt or any type of like shorts or pants before, then you know what I mean by like increasing on the side. But if you haven't, I'm gonna show you. So I've made it to my little stitch marker over here, and I have 1 more stitch to go. So I'm gonna put 1 half double in the next stitch, and then for the next stitch I'm gonna take my stitch marker out, and in this one I'm going to put 2 half doubles, and that's gonna act as like it's just gonna make the skirt bigger. I don't know how to explain it, but it just increases the size, and just increase it until you get to your hip width, your hip size. You know, I don't know, but just keep going until it fits you. So that's why you need to try it on as often as you can, because there's been times where I've increased too much or increased too little. So just keep that in mind, and also keep in mind that the fabric stretches. So just keep it in mind, keep trying it on. Yeah, but for me personally, I'm just gonna increase every other row until I get a little further down, because I don't need to increase that much, so I don't want it to be too big in one area. So I just want a nice slow increase for mine, but everybody is different, so increase it according to your body. Okay, and I forgot to mention, basically you just want to put your stitch marker back into that last stitch you did, and then keep going around, and when you get to the other side, increase again, and it's just the same pattern. Okay, so this is the back of my skirt. This is the seam that goes down all the way. So for the ruffles, I I want them, it's gonna be heavy. I want my skirt to be heavily ruffled. So when I say heavily, I just mean like the amount of rows I do the ruffles. So for each color that I have, I want to do one row of ruffles, and then they'll be like, I'll go in and add extra yarn to them. But so I'm gonna start at the top underneath my waistband. So each row I have three rows of colors. So for every color I have 3 rows. Okay, every color I have 3 rows. So I'm gonna use that middle row as my row to do the ruffles. So for example, this is my first row, and I have 1 row here, 1 row here, and this is the last row here. So I'm just gonna take my hook and put it underneath that second row. And I'm gonna take my yarn. I did a slip knot. So I put my slip knot on my hook, pull it tight, and then I'm just gonna do half doubles so that it'll be a little bigger. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna do half doubles. But honestly, I feel like double crochets would be cute. So I'm gonna see how it looks with double crochets. So I'm gonna, so I have my yarn here, and I'm just gonna use that middle row that I was talking about earlier. I'm just gonna insert my hook under 1 stitch. So find that middle row, or whichever row you want to use, and then just insert it under somewhere underneath a stitch. So here's a stitch, here's a stitch, here's a stitch. So I'm gonna start here just because my seam is here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 to 3 double crochets into each, or under each stitch. So starting my first one, I'm gonna go back under that same stitch. I'm gonna put another double crochet, and then this is the next, this is the next stitch here, right up under here. So I'm gonna insert my hook under, I've yarned over, insert under, pull the yarn back under that stitch, double crochet, and then I'm gonna do 2 more. So this is all under that same stitch. So I have 3 in that one, and that way when we do our second row, the ruffles will be very prominent. So, and the more ruffly you want it, just the more double crochets you put under each stitch. So this is going to use a lot of yarn, so keep that in mind. But keep going all the way around until you get to the end, and then go around and do a second row. And for the second row, I'll show you. But yeah, just for now, do this first row. Okay, so I actually like how it looks with only 1 row, so I'm not going to do a second row. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my next. So this is my next color right here, these 3 rows. So I'm going to go again, starting from where my seam is back here. I'm going to start up here, just like I did for the last row. I'm going to use that middle row as like my guide, I guess, and I'm gonna go under every stitch in that row, and then do 2 to 3 double crochets. So for this row, I started with 2 double crochets, and the next stitch I did 3, and then 2, and then 3. So I was just repeating that the whole time, and they came out like this. So if you like how like ruffled it is, then do that. But if you want more ruffles, then do 3 to 4 in each stitch, and that'll give you a more ruffles. But I'm just gonna do this for every single like blotch of color that I have. So ruffle, 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 all the way down, and I'll show y'all how it looks. Okay, so I finished it. She's cute. This is the waistband. I'm gonna try it on for y'all. This is how the back looks. Mind you, I have not sewn anything in, so yeah, these just kind of hanging, but yeah. So okay, so this is how it looks. 360. And mine is a little loose. I don't mind it though. I don't like mine super tight, but it's like if I end up not liking it a little bit, I will just get some yarn, maybe like blue. Okay. So like I said, mine is a little loose. If you don't like how loose it is, or if yours is just like, I don't know, like you want to be able to tie it a little tighter, I would just take a piece of yarn, like maybe, like mine is pink, so I think it would look cute with either some pink, because my waistband is white, so it could be cute with either pink or like a blue one or something. And I would just weave that yarn in through my waistband, like go under, over, you know, just through the whole thing, and then even the strings out in the front. But I'm not gonna do that on mine because I like it a little loose. That's just me though. But yeah, thank you. Peace.